everybody, I'm MLU4 and welcome to Reactivated, the 15-minute webisode series where we delve into the depths of the archives. We start with BotBit. On the screen you will see two bots in action and we're looking for which two bots these are and which series. Answers will be revealed a little later on. Onto our fantasy fight now. Out comes the pencil case. We so far have Carbide through, who beat Ionor 2.1. And our second round fight, the winner of this will be up against Carbide. So, completely at random as usual. Our first robot is Mighty Mouse. Mighty Mouse, there we go, from Series 6. Thrown out the arena by Dan Tonkier, and Series 7 Heat finalist. So, Mighty Mouse, not bad. First robot will be up against, oh dear, Lamsey. Well, this is quite an underwhelming fight. There you go, totally at random. I don't think Lamsey could really catch Mighty Mouse. And I think as Mighty Mouse was very, very quick around the arena, you couldn't catch him because he was a mouse. I think this will go to a judge's decision. And based on the aggression, maybe more towards Mighty Mouse. I'm going to say Mighty Mouse the winner for this one here. It was very frustrating robot to get hold of, wasn't it? I remember Thermidor 2 trying to catch him in the Heat final, and Dan Tonkier in Series 6 was very, very lucky to flip him out of the arena. So the mouse remains uncaught and will then now be against Carbide. So there we go, that's my fantasy fight for today. As we head on to an MLU4 milestone. It's a very specific milestone really, and not one that was ever repeated. We're going to be talking about Carbide's magnificent run to each of the last fights of the series. Of course, Carbide getting through to the grand final of Series 8, coming runner-up, the grand final of Series 9 and winning, and the grand final of Series 10 and becoming runner-up. The first and only robot to achieve this milestone of consecutive grand final last fights in a row. The closest two robots who were closest to this, Chaos 2, of course winning twice, but that was it. That was it for Chaos 2. Razor as well, getting through to two finals in a row, of course losing its second go. Hypnodisc as well, on the other hand, did get through to three grand finals, Series 3, 4 and 5 in a row, but only made the last fight once, and of course that was in Series 3 up against Chaos 2. So if you're looking for consistency, getting through to the last fight 3 in a row, there is your milestone. MLU4's milestone, Carbide making it to 3 consecutive final fights in a row. We're now going to rewind, and this is a robot rewind requested by Noob not so long ago, and we're going to be looking at Exterminator's time in the arena. Now, for me, back in Series 3, there were 5 versions of the Exterminator machine. Of course, the red one in 3. Let's go back though to Series 3, this debut, of course, being up against Hefty. And this version of Exterminator was all about speed and power. Pretty much every version of Exterminator was about the speed and the power, but especially from Series 3 because you didn't really see robots that were so fast and aggressive. Next, of course, he was against Judge Shred, pitting Judge Shred quite easily. And then was against the reigning champion at the time, Panicsite. Now, if you put Exterminator in any other heats that series, I think they would have got through and easily won. They were just very unlucky to go up against a very good machine. So that was Exterminator's run in Series 3. They came back, of course, for Series 4. Completely changed in terms of the colour and the design. Interchangeable lifting flipper at the front. But we only saw the axe in the first couple of rounds. First chopping off the arms of the Millennium Bug, and then up against Arnold Terminator in the next round. So look at Terminator against the Terminator. And then in the Heat final was up against Behemoth in one of the closest fights and probably one of the most controversial judges' decision of Series 4. I've mentioned this before, there were quite a lot of controversial fights ended in judges' decisions in Series 4. And for me, looking back on it, because I did review the fight just before filming Reactivated, I actually thought Behemoth should have got the decision. But looking back on it, towards the end of the fight, Exterminator was coming back a bit stronger. And for me, it was the right decision, I think, in the end, just. And then in the semi-finals, lost to Wild Thing. Coming back for Series 5, slightly different design. Still had the axe, of course, and the Shremek arms that came out, so the Shremek little prongs on either side. And this is probably the most underwhelming performance of all of the Exterminator appearances, because, of course, losing in the second round of Series 5 against a very... The fact that Corkscrew did get through to the heat final without a weapon proves just how strange that heat was. Because for me, Exterminator should have won that fight. You know, the axe got in a couple of good blows, but Corkscrew was just so aggressive, and Exterminator just lost the power, really, which of course is why it lost in the second round of Series 5. And because of this, Exterminator has to actually qualify for Series 6, and I believe one of his qualifying rounds was against Destructor Bubble, which is why we didn't see him in Series 6. Anyway, I digress. And Series 6 was a slightly better performance than Series 5, getting through the melee and round 2 before meeting Firestorm in the heat final, of course, being up against one of the top seeds for Series 6. So there was a lot to think about with where to take Exterminator, and the team actually sold this version of Exterminator between Series 6 and 7 to build a brand new version. Fans also, if you remember ICU, who made an appearance in Series 6 and Extreme 2, the team behind ICU were Marlon Pritchard's father and brother. And you can actually tell because ICU looks very similar in the shape to Exterminator. So the team then went away and built a brand new robot for Series 7, and this is where, of course, Exterminator peaked, and it's just a shame that they didn't introduce this amazing 1500 RPM devastating flywheel. And it was just the power, because it was so small, all the energy was conserved in this tiny little wheel. If you think back to Hypnodisc in Series 3, that was only 500 miles revs per minute. This was 3 times stronger than Hypnodisc's flywheel in Series 3. And it had a fantastic tournament. Some of the best fights, and of course being up against Killer Carrot in round 2 and Tsunami. Check out previous Reactivated, where we go through the best battles for Tsunami's fight against Exterminator. Very close, very gripping. And then in the semi-finals was up against Saint Aggro, followed by Bulldog Breed. Exterminator were relentless against Bulldog Breed, absolutely pummeling it, which of course led it through to the grand final, losing in the first round of the grand final to Typhoon 2, and then the playoffs to Tornado. It is a shame we never saw another war with Exterminator. They didn't come back, obviously, for the reboots, and they were in 28 fights, winning 16 of those fights. So it's a good track record, a very well respected robot, veteran of the wars. Exterminator, for me, one of the best robots we saw in the original run. For our merchandise memories, we are heading back in time to the toys, the original 6 toys, and we're reviewing each one. Matilda has been done, but today we are going to have a look at Shunt. Now, the remaining batch of toys that you could get here, other than Matilda, we got Christmas 2000. We got them all together on Christmas morning. So, being huge fans of Robot Wars, having these toys to play with over Christmas was a dream come true for me. And I will always remember that Christmas absolutely screaming the house down, thinking that, there's no way we could even get these in the shops anymore because they sold out so quickly, but we got them all. Minus Bash, actually, we didn't get Sergeant Bash. Sergeant Bash came early 2002 for us. But now we're going to focus on Shunt. Shunt, so features. So I'm not sure if this applied to you, but for me, Shunt, because of the way, this is, of course, Shunt's front end, a lot of people, I'm sure, will know that by now. That's Shunt's back end. But what they did, because obviously this is the front end the back end where we saw most of Shunt. For the toy, because of the way the pullback worked, if you had that going in reverse against the pullback, you couldn't really do much. So it was an interchangeable, very, very clever piece of engineering, I'd like to say. depending on what angle you wanted Shunt to attack in, he'd move forward and back, and then it would reverse the mechanism, so you could move him easily. So for me, very, very good good feature on Shunt. His smokestack also very realistic, and his axe as well. There we go, it's still working. His axe going backwards and forwards. For me, could have been a little bit more powerful with the mechanism. A bit like the Exterminator 2 toy. That was a very powerful mechanism for the axe. But other than that, Shunt looks pretty good. I would have liked the scoop to maybe go up and down a little bit. This is the second version of Shunt that we use. Actually, our original version of Shunt is here. Now, some of you might notice he's very, very damaged. This is the Shunt that we completely annihilated in our Champion Chompalot at the end of Extreme Series 2, between Series 4 and 5, when we had Revolutionist totally destroyed. Like, you can even see his axe. Poor Shunt's axe isn't even working anymore. So after that episode, this version of our Shunt was put to rest. We've still managed to resurrect him, there we go. And of course, Shunt did come with the multiple release option. Very good contraption. The only thing I had a problem with was the fact that when you put up all the balls and you accidentally hit this bit here, all the balls came tumbling out, and then of course you had to spend the next 5-10 minutes putting the balls back in. So it was very sensitive here. I'm not gonna do it, but there we go. So features on Shunt. I'm going to give Shunt's features a strong 7. His realism to the actual robot on television, I'm going to give an 8. Looks pretty decent to me. There's my overall rating on the screen behind me, and there's Shunt. Just before we take a look at your questions, there's just time for the bot bit. And today, if you had said Behemoth versus Pitbull in the heat file of Series 3, you'd be right. Now, we're going to take some questions now. So, number 1, we've got from Virtue Webby and Mechasaur97. If Bigger Brother didn't beat Chaos 2 in Series 5, of course in the semi-final round 2, who would win? Hypnodisc or Chaos 2? It is annoying, really, because if Chaos 2 had got through that round against Bigger Brother, you would have had Razor, Chaos 2 and Hypnodisc in the same final. It just would have been the perfect final. Sadly, it wasn't to be. But, of course, if Chaos 2 had beaten Bigger Brother, they would have been against Hypnodisc. A bit of a rematch, the grand final of Series 3. It would have been a lot closer, put it that way. It would have just been a straight flip. Hypnodisc, since Series 3, of course, had a much more powerful disc and had the addition of the Self-Writer. I do think Chaos 2 might have just edged Hypnodisc, though. There would have been a lot more damage to Chaos 2, but I think a couple of lucky flips. I think Hypnodisc still would have lost the Eliminator fight, which of course would have led Chaos 2 through to defeat Razor, and I think Razor still would have beaten and won the war. We just have time for one more, I think. Yes, Joe Ree. Thank you, Joe. Welcome to the video, and thanks for your question, which is, when we started making Robot Wars in 2003, how did it feel when you watched the finished product of your first series on completion? At the time, we thought, great, this looks pretty decent. Slightly different view on it now. I mean, obviously, you'd like to think that things progress and get better in time. We like to think that has come across that way. If you look back at the first series, it's a bit all over the place. Yes, it's there and rough and ready, but for me, it's not my best work. But hey, without Series 1, none of the rest would have followed. So thank you, Joe, for your question, and that is it. Once again, there's still quite a lot of questions I couldn't get through. What I might do next time is take probably half the episode for questions. So please do, if you have a question, please do pop it in the comments section below, and I'll promise to answer on the next episode of Reactivated. Thanks, please download, subscribe, share. We love filming these for you, and we can't wait to see you in the next episode. Thank you all so much for watching, and goodbye.